Patriot Radio. I'm your host, Richard West, Missouri State Representative Richard West, proudly serving District 102, Southern St. Charles County. With me today, I have one of my northern neighbors. I guess everybody in St. Charles is northern to me.
Yes, sir.
I have Travis Wilson from District 106. Travis, thanks for coming in today.
Well, thank you, Rich. It's a pleasure to be here. And District 106, the northern half of the city of St. Charles, Missouri's first state capital.
Is it cold up there? Colder up there than it is down in southern?
It's entirely possible. I mean, I checked the weather this morning, and I can tell you it's definitely winter outside from what I could see.
Keep it all up north there.
We'll do our best.
Supposed to be some snow coming in this weekend. So we have Travis here from St. Charles City, the parts of northern St. Charles County. And Travis, tell us a little bit about yourself, your district, some of the things that do in your district, what's going on right now in your district. I know it's wintertime and there's a lot of winter festivities up there.
There is, absolutely. So District 106 is a fabulous district, and it really is the northern half of the city of St. Charles. What's great about this district is so many wonderful people live and work in District 106. It's absolutely a fabulous place. My wife and I have been very blessed to live there. Our children attend Orchard Farm High School, and we actually have 4 high schools that are attached to this district. Orchard Farm, as I mentioned, also St. Charles West, and also St. Charles High, the original. And there's also Duchesne High. And then as a bonus, we also have Lewis and Clark Technical Center, which is in the district as well. And so it's a wonderful district that has wonderful people, and it has people really from all walks of life that live there as well. So I feel very blessed to be their representative. I appreciate the trust that they put in me. I am running for a 3rd term here in the House, and I hope that they will put their trust in me once again.
So I know you have a lot of really good eateries up there.
I do.
Spent a little bit of my time up there. You guys have a lot of festivals.
We do. As a matter of fact, it's the month of January right now. And so we have Fête de Glace, which is the ice festival that occurs during the last weekend in January. And so I would definitely encourage people to come out. You can get the exact dates and times by visiting the St. Charles Tourism website. And so you can just Google St. Charles Tourism. It's also Discover St. Charles. And so you can find that there and you can learn about that. We also have in the month of February, they are doing another one of our mini character events, if you will. We of course have Legends and Lanterns that occurs in October. We have Christmas Traditions, which we just wrapped up, had a wonderful time, great season for Christmas. Main Street was really doing well. Definitely appreciate the people who have come out and enjoyed that. And then in February, we now are introducing a new Valentine's themed during that season that is also going to be happening on Main Street. And then, of course, later on, there's other things such as, the Mardi Gras Parade, St. Patrick's, and, then we roll right into the summer season. Of course, there's Riverfest and, the Festival of Little Hills, all these wonderful options that you have to enjoy St. Charles.
So without getting too political here, I know there's a lot of hubbub up in St. Charles right now with the changing the planning, I guess the Festival Planning Committee, or what was that committee up there?
So what has occurred from my understanding is that there was a proposed change to how the tourism department would operate and how special events would operate for the city. And to my knowledge, from what I've seen most recently, whatever the proposal was, I believe that the mayor and city council heard from our residents and reacted correctly. To my knowledge, the proposal is not moving forward at this time, but I want to place the caveat on that. I have not spoken directly with the mayor, our city council, in, say, the past week about this topic.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to drag you in. I just
of course
just
not.
a little bit of news, what's going on up in northern St. Charles County. Like you said, there's always some sort of festival or something going on.
Always.
So let's talk a little bit about your time in the House. You've been in the House how long now?
So I'm in my 2nd term right now, and so I've served 3 full sessions already, and I've always concentrated on how we can be helpful to our business owners, both our small businesses and our large businesses. And the reason that I've always tried to concentrate on that is because I believe that Missouri is the best place for people to be able to raise their family, own a home, and live their life. And so especially in St. Charles, especially in District 106, it's the best district in all of Missouri. You heard it here.
We could have that debate because I could surely show you some some places in southern St. Charles County that would probably leave you wondering on that point.
I understand you, as you should feel like your district is God's country. I've been out to Defiance, and it is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. I've seen some of the views from some of our hills there in St. Charles County, and not just St. Charles County, but Missouri in general has such wonderful natural offerings. Just our natural resources, the nature of our state is really second to none. We have so many things that are here in Missouri. We're blessed to have.
Yeah, we talked last week with Representative Mike Koslow from Lake St. Louis, and we had a good discussion about.
Love Big Mike.
Yeah, Mike. Well, first of all, you all heard me say last week that St. Charles County is blessed. We've got a wide array of representation, both in the House and Senate, and we are darn lucky. We've got
14 members between the House and Senate in St. Charles County, 3 senators, 11 reps.
and they're from all different walks of life. So
very much so.
We bring a lot of experience. What was I going to talk about? The water. Mike and I were talking about some water issues last week.
Yes.
Most people don't know this, but do you know that New Melly, which is where I reside, by the way, New Melly is
Former mayor of New Melly, correct?
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
New Melly is like the most eastern starting point for the Ozark mountain range.
Yes.
They have actually put water dyes in the water table and measured from right in the center of New Melly is like the start of the Ozark mountain range. Most people don't know that.
Well, and props to you for knowing it. and I'm glad you're sharing that kind of story, because that's what we have to do. Yeah. We have to be able to tell the story about what St. Charles County is, what it has to offer, why you want to live there, why you would want to move there. And we need to be able to move that forward. And in a broader sense, we need to be able to tell the story of Missouri. We as state representatives need to be able to help our state move forward.
Yeah, a lot of things that we do up here at the state level, we are, people get skewed sometimes. I had some constituents in my office today, and we were talking about some issues, and I'm like, look, what you see that we do a lot of times doesn't necessarily represent encompass the whole issue and what we're dealing with. You just see one small part of it. But I find that the folks that represent St. Charles County, both in the Senate and the House, are working hard for St. Charlesans. I mean, we are really, there's a lot of diverse issues, from schools to water to power. We have labor issues, and I don't mean bad issues. I mean, we have some light industry. We have some other things. So we're always involved in, a lot of the state level things that go on, but we're also highly involved in local issues too. I mean, we really spend a lot of time with that.
Very much so. And, one of the things that was a very big, important issue this past year in my district had to do with a proposed data center that was going to occur.
We talked about that last week a little bit too.
Absolutely. And a lot of people are talking about this. It's a discussion that is sort of ongoing at present, not just in Missouri, but throughout the country. And one of the things, and, again, I clearly have the most knowledge about this particular proposed project as opposed to others that might be happening elsewhere. But in this instance, I had watched the process unfold, and there was a public meeting I attended. I am in frequent communication with both the mayor and city council, and I think that is what our constituents would want. They would want us to have those conversations. That way we can better work as a team, so to speak.
Absolutely.
But I reached a point where I felt like there needed to be something done that would help the data center to, shall we say, not be the problem that it had been perceived to be. And so I actually put out a press release saying that we need to, I encourage the prospect to withdraw from consideration. I felt like that was what was important, because what was needed was more transparency. What was also needed was more of a dialogue with the officials involved. The prospect, I believe, did not disclose enough information, and that did not make our residents feel comfortable. And overall, perhaps they probably could have picked a different or better site. And so in my press release where I said the prospect needs to withdraw, I outlined those particular themes. And I said, I believe that this prospect should re-engage with our state and local economic developers, talk to our leaders, and figure out a better plan than what is currently proposed. And so, I wanted to put that out there and be on record that I felt like this was not the right situation for St. Charles.
Okay, well, we're going to head off into break here in a few minutes, but before we do, just let's kind of outline what the people can expect in the next segment. We're going to talk a little bit about, don't go into details, but just tell me some of the legislation that you're proposing this year, and we'll pick them up when we come back from break. So, what are some things you're proposing this year?
Absolutely. So here's a quick preview. We're going to talk a little bit about anti-spoofing legislation. We're going to talk about how to protect small business owners in regards to website abuse litigation, or website access abuse litigation, I should say. And we're also going to hit on a couple of other small things. So we'll get into it after we get back from the break.
Yeah, so before we head off to break here, I just want to say I'm here with Representative Travis Wilson from District 106, the great city of St. Charles.
That's right.
The second best district in St. Charles County. Sorry.
I'll have to respectfully disagree on that, Rich.
You know, Travis, when you were running for your first term, I got to know you. We became friends. You've been a good ally in the House. You've been a good colleague to work with. And I remember knocking doors, and my gosh, everybody's like, we know Travis. Everybody up in St. Charles City knows Travis Wilson. So I know you're active in your community.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate you being a colleague with me in the House. And
It's my pleasure.
with that, we're going to go off into break. And when we get back, we'll talk about a little bit of the issues, go into some details about some of the legislation that you have and how it's going to help the state of Missouri, how it'll help the constituents in your city.
Can't wait.
We will be back in a few. Welcome back to St. Charles Patriot Radio, where this our second segment here.
Yes, sir.
I'm your host, Missouri State Representative Richard West, proudly serving District 102, Southern St. Charles County. And I think, as we said before, the best district in the county. But, that's okay.
I agree to disagree, but it's okay. It's okay.
But I do want to say, if you're listening to us out there today, sounds like I'm wheezing a little bit, got a little bit of a head cold, so I apologize if I sound like a mouth breather, but we'll get through this. But to make up for that today, I have with me Representative Travis Wilson from District 106, who he will say probably represents District 106, which is northern St. Charles City and northern St. Charles County as well.
Yes, sir.
Travis, before we went off to break, we were talking a little bit about some of the legislation that you are proposing this year. And one of those pieces of legislation is the anti-spoofing bill. So it sounds odd, but I'm sure you're going to explain it to us. So
Absolutely.
let's start off by, first of all, tell us what the bill does and then how it's going to benefit Missourians.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to turn on those dulcet tones to offset any sort of inadequacies you were talking about there. You're absolutely right, Rich. And so the anti-spoofing bill, which for those who'd like to follow along, that is House Bill 2147, HB 2147. They can, of course, always go on my House website page and they can follow along with all of my legislation. But that one in particular, a lot of people are receiving these sort of calls where, take, for instance, you're a business owner, Rich, and you have your cell phone and you are also a retired law enforcement professional. And so you might get a call and it'll say, City of St. Charles or City of New Melly or City of Dardenne Prairie. And what you would be inclined to do is to go and pick it up because you have those relationships. And then, of course, you pick it up and it, is clearly from another part of the world. And so that's clearly not what, the proper intention should be. And so you as a business owner, you get these calls all the time. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to help business owners and we're trying to help just, any user in general, anybody who has a cell phone that's getting these sort of spam-related calls. We're trying to be helpful, and the way we're trying to do that is by limiting the ability of the phone companies to be able to complete these calls. Because the issue at hand, this particular bill has been several years in the making. And so I've worked on it now for the past 3 years. I know that some other reps have also worked on it for even longer than that. And so we're reaching a good place here. What we're trying to do is hold the phone companies here that complete the calls accountable. And so you see the difference there, because you can't enact laws if the call originates in, India or China or another part of the world. You cannot enforce laws elsewhere. You can only enforce laws here.
So nothing's more frustrating than we are so tied to our electronic devices these days. We actually get fear when we don't have them with us. So if you leave your phone somewhere, you start frantically looking around.
Oh, very much so.
Nothing is more frustrating than, excuse me, when you're in the middle of something, watching a movie, you're busy, and the phone rings because we feel that need to pick it up and answer it right away.
Absolutely.
And when you do, then and you look at the number, it's a local number, you decide to pick it up. Oh, maybe it's one of the kids calling from somewhere.
Exactly.
From somebody else's phone or whatever. So you pick it up, and then the next thing you know, you've got a salesman in your ear or somebody trying to, look for something or do this or that. And it's just completely, you're like, oh, and then you get very frustrated. You hang up on them. You put it on your no-call list, but that doesn't help anymore, does it?
No, not at all. Not at all. And so one of the ways that we're trying to be helpful with this bill is we're helping, not only are we helping just any user, we're also trying to specifically help business users by taking out the word residential or commercial, because remember, now, we never had a landline. My wife and I, we've been married for over 20 years. We never had a landline.
Never had a landline.
Never. We got married in 2005. We did not have a landline. However, I know that a lot of people for a long time did have landlines. Moreover, in the course of legislating or in the course of creating legislation, in the past, users have been described as residential or commercial, and what that really goes back to is those old landlines. And so we're taking that language out, we're replacing it with subscriber. And so you're a subscriber for your cell phone service. We're trying to help you and every other subscriber, whether they're business or personal. We're trying to help all entities.
You'll never know how nice it was that you could let the phone ring and, oh, nobody was inside at the time you called. Excuse me. And I mean, you knew the teacher was going to call from school. Hey, Mom and Dad, let's go outside and play in the yard. And Dad's like, hey, it's getting dark. Yeah, no, let's stay out even longer. And you could always do that because nobody would answer the phone.
Rich, did you employ this tactic as a young man?
I'm not saying. Plead the fifth. But then, later on, then we came up with the recorders and they used to be tape at first. And then, you would scan all those calls. And Mom and Dad were like, don't even answer the phone. We ended up not even answering the phone because we let the recorder screen the call. And if it was somebody we wanted to talk to, boom, we'd pick up the phone and say, hey, it's me. I'm here. Those days are gone. We have a phone attached to our hip everywhere we go. And I mean, no matter where you're at, you get one beep on the phone and you're like, what's up? So yeah, this is something as a business owner who is attached to my phone.
As a successful business owner.
Say that.
Yes,
We
indeed.
can say that.
Two stores, looking at a third, perhaps?
Yeah, we're working on that. So somewhere out in your neck of the woods, hopefully.
If you put it in District 106, I can assure you, you have placed it in the best district in all of Missouri.
I will say, my district probably wouldn't be the place for that. So, but no. Well, let's get back to this. Is the phone issue is this is sort of a relief for people that.
Very much so.
I can see people looking forward to this. So how do we implement it? You started to touch on this just a little bit as we stopped talking about that. How are you going to implement it, and then how are you going to enforce the implementation or the penalty phase of this?
Well, and that really is the key. I mean, anything always comes down to how good is the enforcement portion of it. And in this case, what we have tried to do is work toward a solution that really does make committing the offense something that you don't want to do. Because if this is essentially a nickel and dime type of enforcement, then they can rack up, they being the nefarious actors that are starting this process, they can rack up, a large bill for not a lot of money in their eyes.
Sure.
And so the enforcement part involves higher fees per infraction. And the idea was really to make it painful for those who are committing the infractions. And so not only is this meant to be helpful to business owners, but we're trying to protect the vulnerable, the elderly, those who are getting those calls and they fully believe what's happening is, whatever is being said, that they need to come up with X amount of thousands of dollars within a certain amount of days. They believe it. And so we're trying to protect their life savings and we're trying to protect them in general.
Yeah, so this is interesting. So let's go back to this. So is the phone company going to be on the hook on this, or?
That's what we really have to get worked out, because if we are successful in being able to make sure that we are holding those completing the calls accountable, then they're going to be less inclined to complete those calls. And so the short answer to your question is yes, that is our intention, but we're going to need to work out what that final solution looks like so that it's compatible.
Okay, so has there been any movement on this in the House yet?
So It has been referred.
Okay.
It will be heard in the Utilities Committee. I spoke with Chairman Bromley about that, and he let me know that he intends to hear it sometime during the first 4 or 5 weeks of session. You know, I don't necessarily want to speak for the chairman. You know how this works. But he said that is his intention.
So do we have a Senate sponsor?
We do, as a matter of fact. If I'm not mistaken, it is Senator Ben Brown.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds like something right up his alley.
Yes.
All right, so let's move on to, I think Fast Track was something else you were talking about. So let's tell the folks at home, let's explain to them what Fast Track is. I know
Okay.
it's been a pet project of the past governor, this current governor. So let's explain what that is, how it's beneficial for Missourians, and maybe to how we fund it.
Absolutely. So the Fast Track program is helpful to individuals that are intending to make a change in their career. And so let's just say that you, let's take you as an example. You've been involved in law enforcement, and let's say that you want to make a change. While you were at the PD, perhaps you sparked an interest in the IT side.
Maybe I want to become a criminal now.
Well, you know, you're far too upstanding to be a criminal. You don't strike me as being able to have that skill set.
Okay.
But let's say you want to go into IT, and so you go ahead and you sign up for classes. You want to move forward, but your salary is over the threshold, and so currently it's $40,000 for a single filer. It's $80,000 for a household filing.
Okay.
And so if you are over the threshold, you're not able to take advantage of the Fast Track program.
At all? No advantage at all.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. What this does is it makes an adjustment with those thresholds, changes it to just over 50,000 for a single filer and just over 100 for a household filing. And so it gives more people the opportunity to be able to work through that. Now, you ask about how it's funded. It is currently a part of the budget. It's part of the budget. It is budgeted into our annual budget each year. And that's really the great thing about it, is that it is appropriated through the budget process. The budget committee takes a good hard look at this program every year. And what we're asking them to do is to allow more people to be able to utilize that. So I don't want to speak for the budget chair, but I believe that the program may need to have some adjustments in order to compensate for this change, but I'm more than willing to work with my budget committee colleagues to make something positive happen.
Okay, so first I want to apologize to everybody. I am really having a problem with my sinuses right now, but so apologize for that. But let's say that I want to make that change. What funding does this provide? Is it schooling? Is it 100%? Is it a step where I pay half, or how does that work out?
So it is a program for college-related courses. And so now that doesn't necessarily mean credit hours.
Right.
If you have a certification program, like I referenced IT earlier, let's say there's a program that, is like 8 weeks long or 10 weeks long, not quite a semester, but it involves a certain amount of learning that you have to accomplish. That's the type of thing, that's the sweet spot for Fast Track.
So are there requirements on the back end? Do I have to, in order to be reimbursed, or is it a reimbursement, or is it an upfront payment? I guess that's first.
It's a grant.
It's a grant. Okay.
That's the beauty of it. It's a grant.
So in order to receive that grant, do I have to have some sort of
you have to qualify, and there are certain qualifications, and so it's an application process.
Right, but what I guess what I'm getting is on the back end, result based. I guess was what I was looking for.
Great question. And so far, we have had this in place now for the past 3 years. So that'd be 25, 24, and 23. And so in 2023, there was roughly between 600 and 700 people that utilized it. Then it went up to like 1290 something. And then in 25, it was around, say, 1500. And so we're anticipating that it will pick up again a certain amount. And so the point is, it's a grant program for each of those individuals to be able to utilize. And I would say sort of on the back end, the benefit to the state of Missouri is that we have more highly trained individuals that are being able to stay in Missouri and have their careers here, as opposed to having to go elsewhere.
Okay. Sounds like a reasonable program.
Yes, sir.
So and I know it's been working for the last couple of years. I know our previous governor was, he was very instrumental in
very much so.
initiating this process to get this going. All right, folks, we're going to head off to a break here shortly. And when we come back, what are we going to talk about when we come back?
We're going to talk about a couple other things. We've got the Dementia Care Bill, and we also have the Act Against Abusive Website Access Litigation. That's a mouthful.
All right. Well, folks, we'll be back in a few. Stay tuned. Welcome back to St. Charles Patriot Radio. I'm your host, Missouri State Representative Richard West. Here with me today is Representative Travis Wilson from District 106. He represents well the city of St. Charles and northern St. Charles County. And we've been talking a little bit today about his district and some of the legislation that he's proposing this year for Missourians and the people in his district. We left off last segment with some issues. What I think you were telling me you have was it anti-aging bill or what was it?
It's the Dementia Care Coordinator Bill. And this is one that's very special to me. For those who know me, I worked for the city of St. Charles.
Yep.
Worked there 5 years, had a wonderful time. I worked for former House member Sally Faith.
Oh, yeah.
She was the mayor there. And she, after leaving office, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Okay.
And so the Dementia Care Bill is really, for me, it's sort of a labor of love, if you will, because I felt that connection, having remembered so fondly working with that mayor and the other people at St. Charles. And she actually now she advocates for Alzheimer's. As a matter of fact, she went on to write a book after she was diagnosed. She wrote a book about her experience and about what her advice was to others. And so that's really inspirational. And her and I have talked about this bill. The reason it's important is because caregivers in general that are dealing with family members who have dementia and Alzheimer's, they don't necessarily have a lot of resources at their disposal. And so not knowing where to go or what to do to be helpful to those family members, to those friends that are dealing with these diseases is something that we want to help rectify. And so this bill is a proposal to create a small office within the Department of Health that would be that resource center, somewhere where individuals could interface directly with someone who is aware of all the resources and can tell them what they can do to help their family members.
So do we already have anything like this? Like, I know we have some, I guess you would say workers within the department that are kind of guidance counselors. So is this replacing or is it adding to? I'm trying to fill you out here.
Sure. This creates 2 new full-time employees within the department.
Okay.
And so it creates this small office that would be staffed by these 2 people. And what our budgetary ask entails is covering those salaries and benefits of those people. And that really is all that we're asking for, is just to create 2 positions that are solely dedicated to the purpose of helping Missouri's aging population that is dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's. It helps them have that sort of one-stop shop for how they can be advised on things that pertain to this topic.
So basically like a help desk. I mean,
You got it.
They're
That's a
not
perfect analogy.
promulgating any rules or regulations
No,
or
sir.
anything like that. Just more like a help desk. Hey,
Yes.
I'm having this issue. Where do I turn? What's a good resource? What's a good number to reach?
Exactly. They could even, sort of act in sort of a case management capacity, if you will, to kind of help people follow through to get to those resources, so to speak.
Does that cut into caseworker load? Or, I mean, so would you get pushback from the caseworkers on that? I mean, because they do have caseworkers that do that. So,
Well, I'll tell you, I'd be glad to talk to them. And as I always am, I understand that legislation is fluid. And so
Sure.
I'm always open to talking to anyone. I want my legislation to be better. In general, this is something I've always told people whenever I've been out knocking on doors, talking to the constituents within my district. I always tell people, I'm never going to profess to you that I'm a politician who knows everything. What I am as a politician, and really I don't see myself as a politician. I see myself as,
but you are.
I'll take it as a compliment.
It is.
But I see myself as a gentleman who is trying to work with others to make our state better. And so if this legislation, if there's an aspect that I can change by taking an idea that you have or any idea that another rep has, or even just a citizen at home, if they have an idea that I can utilize to make this bill better, I'm fully interested in hearing that idea and implementing it if it is helpful.
Yeah, sure. No, so there's a lot of good what's proposed in this bill. I think as long as we're not crossing any lines, I think this would be kind of a good direction to head on this.
Well, I appreciate that. And the other bill that I wanted to talk a little bit with you about is it's House Bill 2150, House Bill 2150, and this is a mouthful, so just bear with me. It establishes the Act Against Abusive Website Access Litigation. Like I said, it's a mouthful. Basically, what this does, and again, we'll reference you as a business owner. You have your store and you have a website, and on your website, let's just suppose for the moment that you do not have an ADA disclaimer, or that you do not have a proper ADA disclaimer. You could theoretically be notified by a potential party that feels like they were somehow wronged by this lack of your disclaimer. You could be notified about the lack of it on, say, Monday, and then on Tuesday you could be sued.
So let's touch on this a little bit.
Mhm.
So if I have a website
Mhm.
and I have no ADA access, I'm guessing since it's a website, it would be something in the means of hearing or sight impaired, something of the sort.
Correct.
And if I didn't have on my website, didn't have that set up so that they could do with that, they could turn right around and sue me.
Correct. And so what we are proposing in this bill, and I say we very much on purpose, there's myself and there are 7 other House members that have filed this legislation. And so this is clearly important to a large portion of our delegation, of our House members. And we are trying to protect business owners in this regard. You have to have a reasonable amount of time to be able to respond to those sort of claims. And so something like 30 days would be clearly much more reasonable than, no time at all, essentially. And so by having a 30-day window, then that gives and we live in a time where websites can be very nimble. I don't know anyone who wouldn't be able to do something in a response within a 30-day window.
I didn't even know this was an issue, to be honest with you. So
Absolutely.
So not only you have ADA access, physical ADA access in your store, now you're required to have it on a website. Is there federal legislation that requires this, or does it fall under the ADA Act? I mean, are there guidelines that they supply that you're supposed to meet? I'm guessing all of this there's all of the above, right?
Correct. So I am not as familiar with whatever may exist at the federal level regarding this topic. But what I can tell you is that several cases have already worked their way through the process. And what business owners often will do is they'll settle because they need it to go away.
Yeah.
And so it essentially is sort of a shakedown, if you will. And so what we want to do is we want to stop that from happening. And so the reason, and here's to answer your question, especially regarding the ADA aspect, the reason why they've had standing in these suits is because there clearly is something about the ADA aspect that is applicable.
Okay. Well, this is very interesting because I'm just like, I had no clue this was a thing.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. As a matter of fact, it has risen to the level of attention of of multiple chambers of commerce. In the hearing today, we had a hearing about this today, the Missouri Chamber of Commerce. I heard about it from our local Chamber of Commerce. As a matter of fact, it was our local chamber president, Scott Tate, that brought this to my attention.
So we're not taking away the requirements. We're just giving businesses a adequate amount of time to respond to a complaint made towards their they're very interesting. You got anything else you're working on?
I've got tons of stuff. How much time do we have?
I don't know. We got about 5 minutes. We got a couple of minutes. Let's tell me one more. Let's go through one more.
One more? Absolutely. I've got my list right here. And so
make it good.
And so I am currently the head of the United Kingdom Caucus. Yes, absolutely. So this is
Travis's Wild Kingdom.
I was asked to serve, and I said yes.
Okay.
So here I am. And so I've actually got a couple of bills that have to do with reciprocity. If you have a license in a particular field in the United Kingdom and you move to the United States for any reason, we would recognize. We have some bills that would help to sort of line that out.
So is this like professional licenses?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so sort of what we do with reciprocity with neighboring, well, not just neighboring, but any of the states.
You got it.
You get a license in one state. I mean, you're trained, and then you want to, because a lot of it had to do with military, but
certainly
you pick up and have to move, and you got to go to another state. I mean, the duplication of requirements amongst, we'll start at the state level, drill down to the local levels, drill down to the county levels, then drill down to municipal levels. Yeah, it's crazy. So this is to me this is a common sense bill. It's like saying, hey, you've done this business. Let's just take my profession for
Sure.
instance. No, police officer.
Law enforcement, yeah.
Police officer in UK. Now you come over here, you might have to take a test on our constitutional rights, which I think but really,
I think that's a great idea.
I would think so.
Can we make that a high school graduation requirement? Wouldn't that be
I
fun?
think we're way past that. Anyway, for right now. But anyway, you take a simple test that shows your knowledge of our laws and our whatever. Boom. The rest of it's pretty much duplicative.
Absolutely. And so we're just trying to make things more efficient in that regard regarding this particular topic.
So Travis, again, your district is St. Charles City.
Yes, sir. Proud of it too.
Yeah. I think you've got the Soda Museum up there, don't you?
I do, as a matter of fact.
I was just
and
there last week. It's a great place.
It is a great place. You know, the owner, his name's Tom Smith,
Okay.
and he is just a fantastic individual. From the time he was a little boy, he has collected memorabilia that had to do with soda. Now, primarily Coke. He definitely
He's got
appreciates.
some others in there.
He does. But in general, he's collected things, and his museum is second to none. And I'm a museum nerd. I love going to museums.
My first house, I'll let a little bit in before we go into break. But my first house up here, I stayed at. Tom had some houses up here. I stayed in one of his houses.
Yeah.
It was packed full with soda coolers and all kinds of
Oh, yeah.
stuff. And I'm
Oh,
like, Tom, I don't even know where to put my stuff because you got all the soda stuff in here.
Oh, yeah.
But he eventually moved it all out into his museum. But this wasn't about. This was just more talk about your district, St. Charles City. It's a great historical. I mean, most people even know. I mean, we know that our first state capital was there.
That's
I
right.
mean, what a piece of history to have there in St. Charles City.
They are a Missouri State Park site, and I would definitely encourage you to come and see it.
You are a park guy, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
See, when you live out in God's country, everywhere is a park out there.
I see what you did there, Rich.
Yeah,
I see what you did there.
Well, folks, listen, I appreciate you being with us today and listening to Travis and I talk a little bit about St. Charles City, a little bit about Travis and what Travis has done and what he's proposing to do with legislation this year. We had some really good talk about St. Charles City and some of the festivals and things. I tell
Yes,
you,
sir.
I love going up there. Christmas time is a great time. A couple years back, my son, who's a Marine,
Thank him for his service for us.
believe me, I do every day.
Yes.
I will be sure to tell him. He was going to be going out of country, and his fiance, which they had been together forever, he's like, "Dad, would you marry us?" And I said, "Absolutely." So we went down in the streets of St. Charles in one of those really nice little, what do you call them? There, the gazebos.
Yeah, the gazebo.
It was
Yes.
beautifully decorated in Christmas paraphernalia there, and we were there, and I married my son and his now wife under one of these gazebos. We had our family and her family there, and it was just such a nice place to be.
Yes.
And it's safe. It was just beautiful, and the atmosphere and the ambiance and the people, the stores. For those of you listening, if you've never visited St. Charles City,
You're missing out. If you haven't been to St. Charles,
downtown Main Street,
it's phenomenal.
I mean, you've got wine gardens, you've got regular bars, you've got some great eateries, you've got beautiful shops. I mean, they've even got a great cigar shop down there. So there's all kinds of things to do. You can spend a whole day down there plus.
If you got a sweet tooth, you can get that. There's Grandma's Cookies.
Oh, yeah.
There's Kilwins, where they actually make their fudge on site by hand. They got caramel dipped apples. Greg and Jenny Van Wyck are just wonderful business owners there. And then you go across the street, get your wife a little something from Providence Soapworks. Carolyn Holden, she'll take care of you. Next door to her is Emily, who owns the shop Main Street
This
Books.
is a man that knows his district.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then after you eat all of that stuff up and you're just like waddling down the street, then you walk over to the park and take a walk up and down the Missouri River
That's right.
and walk all that off.
Frontier Park.
Yes, sir. Well, listen, Travis, thank you for being with us this week. We hope you have a blessed week, and I hope your legislation goes where you want it to go this year. So with that, we will end this segment. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to St. Charles Patriot Radio.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate the time.